Hello, welcome to another episode of Non-Mainstream Dad. My name is Morgan Jones. This channel is devoted to talking about responsible non-monogamy and alternative lifestyles, but there will be a lot or little deviance and adventure in our topics, I promise. Once again, I always start these out with a disclaimer. I am not doing this because of my doctorate. I am not doing this out of research, nor do I claim to be a sex therapist. I am not a relationship counselor. No offense to anyone of those people coming from those backgrounds. That's an amazing and wonderful thing. It's a lot of hard work. I'm a person who's a sex educator, and it's out of personal experience and concern. I'm a life coach. You can contact me via my website at non-mainstream.org, all one word, or dad@non-mainstream.org. Coming up in August of 2019, I will be presenting workshops at an event called Libertine. It's focused on non-monogamy, sacred sexuality, hedonism, and BDSM, kink, and for sexual education and enjoyment. At Camp Midian. It's in Springville, Indiana. It's not too far outside of Bloomington. It'll be from August 30th to September 2nd. And you can get more information at www.labordaylibertine.org. Today I want to talk about relationship expectations and levels of commitment. First, we need to address how is your relationship structured? Are you a hierarchy-oriented person or relationship? Do you have primaries and secondaries? Do you have a nesting partner? Are there people that you work with on a daily basis and you all work your lives together and that's part of your relationship? All these different things cause you to interact with each other differently and in different ways with different attitudes and agendas or purposes. I don't want to say agenda. That kind of denotes some control. But we all have a plan, a goal. Even if it's just to help the other person be happy. That's a plan. That's a goal. That's an agenda. But I don't want it to have a negative connotation, so we won't call it agenda. So when you're going about to live your life intentionally with somebody, you have a certain amount of relationship expectations that you set with that person as you are starting out your relationship. These can include things anywhere from how you put your toilet paper to how many nights a week you sleep on the left side of the bed, or if you go out, or what all of your agreements are. This is what happens in a normal relationship. You establish boundaries, you establish expectations, you set behavioral limits and or wants, needs, and you communicate these hopefully. And I do say hopefully because I know that doesn't always happen, but we can hope. And you communicate these needs and you share a joint vision. And that joint vision is your relationship. When you're non-monogamous, you have to do that repeatedly. And you have to take into account each of the relationships and how they affect the other relationships and how they're going to reflect and affect the other relationships. If you are set up on a complete and total relationship anarchy model where everybody is equal and everybody has a completely different model of interaction, but each get the same amount of time and you work it as an egalitarian, that's going to be an entirely different situation than say you have a primary who you then have a secondary that's half a continent away that you see once every 6 months and you talk to once a month or twice a month, or daily. What are your intentions and what do you want to commit to? These are things that change over time, and that's I think one of the ultimate problems that people find is that they don't understand why relationship energy is not maintained at the exact same level from the day that you started, from that first day when you locked eyes in the Kroger over the meat department. But that relationship energy does wane, but not out of anything bad. It wanes out of acclimation. It wanes out of finding a stable level, an equilibrium, to where that relationship focus doesn't overwhelm the rest of your life. And that transformation is a good thing, but you also need to think about it and be prepared for it, because we all kind of expect the relationship, oh my gosh, it changed, everything changed. Our relationship has never been the same since I ate that candy bar. And it was that candy bar that ruined it all. But no, people change. You can't go through a period of time without it affecting you. You're going to have things that happen, you're going to have incidents, you're going to have moments in your relationship that alter your perception of your mate or your partner or whatever you want to call them. And those moments endear them, distance them, do all kinds of things with them, but what they do is it changes the relationship. And it's not a bad thing. And we're programmed to think that the relationship should be just as strong from day one as day 20,042. I made that number up, but somebody do the math, please. But here's the thing. That's not actually how things work. You have to be able to grow. You have to be able to change with people. You have to be able to accept that those people will change. And with that, you have to accept that circumstances will affect everything, especially you. And I mean, that there's a whole lot of interesting mind game going on thinking that you won't change, because you do. So if you changed, how can you sanely and healthily expect your partner to not change? Unless you don't want to change. And if you don't want to change, I doubt that you're doing poly or any kind of non-monogamy, because you're kind of forced to adapt to constant change in situations. So just throwing that out there, if making sure you're actually wanting to watch this video. So you've got your primaries and you're establishing things, and you've got your secondaries, and you've got your partners, and you've got your nesters, or whatever you want to call them, and you've got your relationship, and you've got your expectations. Okay, so I'm sometimes, depending on the person, I can be somebody who is very daily, all day long communicative. Text all day long and messenger and pop off with memes and then talk all night long. Who knows? I've done it before. I don't do it very much anymore. I kind of too busy half the time to really do that. But it is a relationship style and it's a way of communication. However, you have to set expectations. And when it is not, and I think that may come across wrong, but I think that you need to understand what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is you need to honestly and clearly communicate what your actual abilities are to communicate. If you have been driving yourself ragged, trying to text with 7 different women all day long, every day long, you're going to run into problems. You need to learn some moderation. You need to learn voice to text. That's for definite. And swipe is really helpful. It's a lot faster, I found. But you have to approach it with an understanding that you're not always going to be available. That you can't always be there for everything. And that sometimes no matter how badly you don't want to, you're going to miss out on being able to be helpful or of use in the relationship to that person. So you need to work on what your expectations are, what your expectations of yourself are, and what your honest ability to give is. Because this is the thing about poly. You are creating the relationship, and you have the ability to step by step define it, set it down, and write it out, and or talk it out and say, this is what I need, this is what I want. And then you can do that with each person. And I mean, if you can, not everybody will, but you can. And it's an amazing opportunity to be able to do that. So some of the other things I want to talk about when you're talking about the relationship expectations and levels of commitment and all that, you got to talk about holidays. Who's going to see the in-laws? Are you taking everybody? You, your boyfriend's girlfriend and her boyfriend, and your boyfriend's other girlfriend and her girlfriend are all coming over for dinner. And that's the big poly thing, and that's the big metamorph thing in there. The giant meta thing is amazing. But then we got to look at who's going to the parents, who's going to the in-laws. That goes into how to deal with the kids, but that's an entirely different episode. But you have to look at what is your commitment and what is your expectation. Personally, the type of poly I do, my expectation is that I'll see you at the holiday. You may not be able to make it to our family holiday party, but we're going to have a gathering where everybody that's part of the group gets together and joins into the holiday celebration together. We have Yule, because, well, I'm pagan, I'm not Christian, so I celebrate Yule. And that's a big time for me because it's the birth of the God, but the birth of the Son. And the expectation is that for me, my doorway is going to be open for all of my partners, and all of my partners will understand that all of the metas have the possibility as well as probability of attending as well. And that's important because I build family and networks, poly networks, I guess. Because I'm very much a connection-oriented person. I'm kind of the hippie, but I'm more of a punk that loves trees. So we've got holidays. Let's talk about work things. So who do you go to the work party with? Well, it depends on who you've talked about at work, how open you are at work, how out you are at work. Take anybody you want to take. I mean, that's ultimately the rule. Take anybody that you feel you want to take. You know how it will be received, and go for it. What are some of the poly expectations or non-monogamous expectations for outside events like concerts? As far as it's always worked in my dynamic, sorry about that, the way it works in my dynamic is that it's a public event. Everybody can go. I mean, not everybody will hang out together, but just because I really love Billy Joel, it doesn't mean that your other boyfriend can't go as well. But if you're my date, you're my date. I mean, that's just kind of, but you can have, I mean, that just doesn't mean you don't have to necessarily hang out together, but you can. And that's the great thing. You still can. You can make it a group date. Or you can go off and do your own thing and everybody else can go off and do their own thing. But you decide that ahead of time. You discuss it. You communicate it. You set boundaries. You set expectations. And you clearly communicate your needs and your desires. Another really big one, birthdays. Birthdays are a nightmare for some people because it becomes a territorial thing. And my suggestion on that is always make a pile. I mean, everybody can celebrate your birthday together. I mean, they all love you. Why can't they all love you together? If you really need to separate it down, do 4-hour blocks, or just spend the night before, so you wake up the morning of your birthday with one, and then you spend the night with the other, so you go to bed with the other, and you can mix it all up and do all that. And play it according to how the needs are for the relationship and the individuals involved. However, ultimately, your birthday is about you. And your partner should be celebrating you and not griefing you, if you can avoid it. It happens, and ultimately there are reasons because people aren't always altruistic in their motivations or compassionate in their actions. But I think that's enough for the moment. We're going to go ahead and stop for today. I just wanted to go ahead and wrap it up. And it really is expectations. Predetermined resentments. Expectations are predetermined resentments. But relationship expectations are best when they're expressed verbally and they're communicated. And groundwork is laid so that you can know what your needs are, what their needs are, how you're going to supply those needs, and why you might have an issue, if you might, because you may not, and it's always a good thing when you don't have an issue supplying what people need. I think that's a good start for today, so go out and have fun. Thank you for watching Non-Mainstream Dad. Please tune in to our next episode. Come see me at Libertine in August, August 30th through September 2nd, near Bloomington, Indiana. www.labordaylibertine.org. Please feel free to leave comments or ask questions, and please like, subscribe. I'll do my best to respond to the comments, or you may even inspire an episode's worth of response. Blessed be, and I'll see you then. Thank you so much. Good night.